Oh, not sure. I mean, you need to look at the game again, and certainly we had periods of dominance, and they did as well. I mean, they kicked 11-20. We had periods of dominance, and they had periods of dominance. So I'm not sure it was the one that got away, but certainly it was a winnable game for both teams. Throughout periods of the game, and even as late in the last quarter.
Because obviously 20 points at half time, it felt like more, or at least could have been 40, 50, 60, I suppose. So, it comes and goes.
Yeah, I mean, most games now are momentum. You've got to take your chances, momentum, and kick goals. They didn't take their chances and probably could have easily been 40 up at half time, particularly second quarter. I thought the first quarter was reasonably even, even though they had probably difficult shots, but they missed a few in the second. And then momentum sort of swung, and we just didn't take advantage of it either. So, and then that's the game.
Well, was that second quarter the difference, really? You just also seemed like your defensive pressure dropped a little bit through that term.
No doubt, yeah. I mean, we went from 80-something tackles last week to 40-something today. So we just got to keep driving minimum standards. Minimum standards that AFL teams do week in, week out, and obviously we're a long way off that. But that's absolutely right. Just the lapses that we have as a club are just too great at the moment. And having said that, I'd said the players, the frustrating thing is you go down by 8 points. So we just got to make sure our effort levels are consistent every week. I can cop, I know the fans get frustrated at turnovers, as I don't get me wrong, I get frustrated in the box as well, but I can cope with them providing the effort levels, and when I talk about them, statistically the tackles, last week it's 80-something, you win, today it's down to 40-something, so that's not going to get it done in AFL football regularly enough.
You won 3 quarters today, that's obviously something. What are the positives to take out of it?
Well, probably just that. I mean, the positive is, we're only 8 points down, and we didn't really have a lot of good players, to be honest. So, I mean, that's a positive from one sense, but frustrating in another sense. Win 3 quarters to give away a couple of free kicks late. So there's a lot of things happen in a game of football, but where we're trying to get to, I suppose that's my thing now at the moment is not worried too much about results, win or lose. It's more, where do you want to get to at the end of a year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever it is. And they're the things we try to focus on a weekly basis and not, get too bogged down, on the game. Obviously you review the game, but if you know what I mean, we're sort of trying to work out, what do good teams do regularly, week in, week out, and they're the things we need to keep working on.
Still shuffling a few players around the park in different positions. It seemed as though Jeremy Howe's move forward was a winner in the second half. It was lively and ended up kicking one.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I mean, a lot of it is, we as a group are still getting to know each other, players and coaches, and what our expectations are and what they can deliver and things like that. I think how we going back was really good, but clearly half-time you're 20 down and you're sort of looking for a bit of a spark. Forward set-up certainly working a lot better than it was 3 weeks ago, and you'd like to think so because your personnel's very different up there. So we're able to go forward with a lot more certainty. So certainly from week 1 and 2, we're certainly a lot more efficient in that area and have got a lot more potency. But as I said, we're trying to set some minimum standards every week and try and meet them, win, lose or draw.
What are your thoughts on the score reviews, particularly that one today, which, let's be honest, was how I know you saw benefited, but what are your thoughts on the system as a whole?
Well, I think there was some discussion we're going to have some goal line stuff this year, so I don't know what happened with that. So I think it is what it is, I guess, unless you can get that camera right on the side and so forth, you're always going to have, probably benefit of the doubt goes to that call that the goal umpire makes. I mean, that's the majority of them, isn't it?
Did you see the replays of this one?
No, I actually didn't. I didn't even actually see what happened because I was coming upstairs or I'd looked around or something like that, so I didn't actually see it. I didn't even see the replay because other than it's hard to see up in the box, so I can imagine, I didn't even know what happened.
Well, guys got a free kick just when you guys are pushing it. It seemed very dubious holding free kick. Do you think the umpire sort of responded a little bit too much in the way that the cap sort of holding things?
Look, I mean, what I'll say about the umpires is I think they're doing a great job, but I would have loved, we had a meeting with Wayne Campbell and Hayden Kennedy, and I would have loved to have a clearer understanding of how the umpires are going to umpire this year. And I texted him last week and I said I think they're doing a good job, but it's a dramatically different game now than what it was in past years. So it would have been nice just to get probably a bit more of a heads up about that going into the season. I think the rules have changed a lot over the break. So the specific one on Gary, I'd need to look at it again. But Gary's a terrific player, and unfortunately he didn't need a free kick at that time. But look, I must admit I didn't really see it. I didn't see the specific free kick.
When you say dramatically different, do you mean more contact committed, or what do you mean?
Less. I mean, I think we saw in the first 4 or 5 rounds. I mean, just less free kicks. It's a big change. I don't think it's a wrong change. I just think it would have been nice to get a really good understanding. Very few 50-metre penalties paid. Pushing the back doesn't happen anymore when the bloke's on top of the guy on the ground. So it's been a significant change, and I mentioned that to Wayne, and it just would have been nice leading into the season had we all got a bit more of a heads up about how Wayne and Hayden were going to manage the umpires. But in terms of the specific free kicks, as I said, I think generally it's been good, but it's just a lot different to what it was last year.
Do you have to adjust your strategies in that light? You've got a lot of these sort of almost rugby-type rolling mauls that are happening. Do you have to adjust strategies so that you have players on the edge of this sort of maul instead of on the edge of a stoppage?
Yeah, well, again, sort of 5 weeks in, there's certainly trends in that area. I think that the specific one I see now is the guy that gets laid on. There's no in the back rule anymore. So I guess, it's whether that guy's got to get rid of the ball quicker because he's not getting as protected as perhaps what he was. So I think there are some things where I don't know whether you adjust your coaching, but you just got to be more aware, certainly of players around the clearance, around the stoppages, around the, where the ball's contact need to be super active. And they need to be really alert because a lot of those balls were free kicks last year that they're just sort of spilling out. As I said, it's not a wrong thing. It's just it's just different to what it was. No, it's probably a mistake in the end, to be honest. I mean, you're sort of trying to work out who and what and where. I mean, so probably he's only 5 weeks of footy he hasn't had before, so you're sort of thinking, does he need a bit of a breather? Is it a chance, to get him off? Got a fresh sub. A lot of debate about the sub, but I reckon, when I look back on after the game, we probably erred on taking him off because he's one guy that does get his hands on the footy pretty regularly. So it's probably more a case of you're sort of looking at him, trying to manage him a little bit. But as I said, I think if I had my time over again, I probably would have left him on.
So what happened there? Because the vets did get passed around a bit. Evans decided to come on. You weren't sure we were going to bring on. Yeah, there was just prior. We were about to make the sub, and I think the bench were hearing our discussion. And Jack Viney got a knock on the other side of the ground. So he just said, just hang on. We haven't made the decision yet. We just better check on Jack. So that's what happened there, yeah.